Ah, so it's been okay,
Yeah.
specifically detailed to appeal to
Yes.
those tree dwelling rats. Okay.
Yes. Yes. This is catered to that demographic, if you will.
Okay.
So,
So much clearer now. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Audiophiles. My name's John. His name's Andy. I'm glad you're home. Now, did you really miss me? I guess you did by the look in your eyes. Look in your eyes. Look in your eyes. Well, lay back and relax while I put away the dishes. Put away the dishes. Then you and me can rock a bye. More on that later. Ring a ding a ding dong. But first, we have a song to listen to, provided by Andy. Andy, what do you have for us all to enjoy today?
I have a track called Mighty KC, as in K and C, and it is by a band called Four Squirrels. Is that ringing any bells for you?
No. Is
Okay.
this a collective of squirrels?
Yeah, it's four of them. No, this is actually a gift for them. It is four squirrels.
Ah, so it's been okay,
Yeah.
specifically detailed to appeal to
Yes.
those tree dwelling rats. Okay.
Yes. Yes. This is catered to that demographic, if you will.
Okay. Ah, so much clearer now.
You know, I thought I'd throw you a nut on that one. So go off and give this a listen and let everybody out there and myself know what you make of it.
Creepy beginning that. That sort of noise always puts me in mind of abandoned Victorian dolls. Anyway.
She lies in a bedpan with her name scrawled on her back. It sure sounds funny when
Sorry, it's thought so quickly. Was it something she lies on a bedpan with her name scored on her back? Yeah, that's troubling.
you say his name like that. He lies in an empty room with his hair burned to the back. It sure sounds funny when you say his name like that. Send me out to the morgue, I'm ready to be buried away down in my bed. And I'm alone without the sun.
Remember, shift me off to the morgue. I'm ready to be buried, like it was, and I'm alone without the sun. When he was singing that first bit about going off to the morgue, there's a little bit of stipe about his voice, with something else as well. Yeah, this is not a happy song. Okay, let's see what else happens.
Send me off to the morgue, I'm ready to be buried away down in my bed. And I'm alone without the sun. Please just take one. By the grace of God, go wide into the great unknown.
huge mood shift from those sort of powerful, doom-laden sort of chords, and then we're into this sort of strumming, chirpy, almost sunny. Yeah, strange.
And if we gather, if we fall over the great unknown, things are gonna change in our favor. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, oh, they have found it there. And I am numb from watching TV. Oh, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, oh, they are just there. And I am numb from watching TV.
He's counting them, 100 to 600, so it's like it's a developing thing, and it's televised as well. Found dead. So this sounds like an atrocity or a natural disaster, I guess. If it's televised, it's going to be 80s or 90s, because it sounds like 90s to me. It's not later, I don't think. Srebrenica, Ethiopia, Rwanda. I don't think Cambodia was like on the evening news. It's more of a 90s thing, really, isn't it? I don't know. Yeah, not good. Again, not very light. This is obviously harrowing stuff, and I guess watching these sort of things unfold on the television kind of numbs us. Those first images of Michael Burke in Ethiopia were just horrific, and yeah, and then you get this sort of fatigue to it, don't you, where you just see it so often it doesn't strike home as much. Anyway.
Don't break me, and by the grace of God go wide to the great unknown. Things are gonna change in our favor. And if we gather, if we fall over the great unknown.
So this chorusy bit again, it's so different to like 600 Found Dead, and then la da da da, and musically it does sound as well a bit sort of like late mid-period REM, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Things are gonna change in our favor.
a weird stringy sound at the end as well. Yeah, that sort of instrumental break was interesting because this the da 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 is quite posturing, almost melodramatic. It's effective, but it sort of went into this sort of lovely sort of melody afterwards, and there was a sort of light sort of picking guitar. I feel I heard some piano in there as well, and that again is it's different from anything else in the song, even from the upbeat chorus, and that it was really pretty actually. I wish they'd developed that a bit more. Yeah, interesting. It sounded very 90s Americana with, as I said, REM connections, and I'm sure there's loads of other bands that don't immediately spring to mind. Um, I would say musically, this is doesn't really stand out to me. Lyrically, I think I need to listen to it a bit more, but there's obviously clearly some impact and stuff going on there. Um, I think the best bet is to go and get the lowdown from our friend at the hoedown, and that being Andy. Let's get back to him now.
All right, so you're back. What did you make of the Mighty KC by Four Squirrels?
Yeah, so starts with this spooky Victoriana type strings. I'm getting haunted, abandoned dolls and toys. I don't know what stringed instrument it was, but it sounded like it was a guitar, but above the nut, clink, clink, that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
And there was also this sort of ratcheted winding thing going on, like the squirrels had captured a stoat or something. And I just, where did we bury them? What do you mean we should know? Anyway, and this is accompanied by the bass of Impending Doom, which is nice as well. Nice touch. So the singer then begins, and the music is very sort of very Americana. It's I mean, it's just nice. It's fairly simple with that guitar sort of strumming away. But instantly some very interesting lyrics. She lies in I think it was bedpan with her name scrawled on her back. And something about it sounds funny when you say his name. Anyway, it struck me for someone, she in this instance, to be lying in a bedpan, they'd have to be tiny or as a fucking big bedpan, which would, that's not really, that's a bath that you're pissing into in that case. Oh, you've got some serious incontinence. So yeah, I was wondering if it was a child dead, or if it's the name scrawled on the back, I'm thinking it's dead. So I wonder if it's a child or maybe some sort of aborted fetus or something. But the name scrawled on the back give me a picture straight away of like a field hospital where this and other things are happening in a high volume, hence the labeling. That's what they do when you've got an influx of injured and dead, whether that field hospital is in a war zone or at a site of some atrocity or calamity, but that's what happens, I've no clue about the reference to his name and how it sounds funny relates to this. We get some quite powerful striking, as in, it strikes you how powerful they are, these guitar chords. And he's singing, "Take me off to the morgue. I'm ready to be buried." And something about "I'm alone without the sun." Again, trying to work this out. So there's this imagery of obviously death, but not just death, the sort of point before death as well. I'm not quite sure what the "I'm alone without the sun" means. Bizarrely, this is definitely only me that thinks this, but I reminded of The Dark Knight Returns, like the very first ever graphic novel. Superman, he gets caught up in this thing and it blots out the sun and he loses all his power and sort of withers away. Which I think is quite an interesting sort of metaphor for the human race, actually. But yeah, I don't know how that fits in. But yeah, it's powerful lyrics and he's obviously singing it with a certain amount of angst to it as well, which makes the next part even stranger because it then shifts into a bit where he sings "By the grace of God go I." And it's just almost this chirpy melody and it's strumming away. and it's sounding like late mid-period REM, sort of out of time onwards. Very odd that you have these two, and the contrast is. I mean, it's not very odd sound; it's very complex, but the contrast is very odd.
Yeah.
And it just like, why the hell is he singing like that? It's a choice, obviously. No one's forced him to, but yeah. So just made me scratch my head metaphorically. Then it goes back into the more tortured vocals again, and he's singing and he's listing away 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600 found dead. I am numb from watching TV. Again, this makes me feel like it's some either atrocity or calamity. I think call it a natural disaster or a man-made disaster. It sounds 90s, the music, and I'm thinking if it's televised, it would be. If he's watching something progress on the TV, it would be 80s or 90s. So it made me think of like Ethiopia, with famine, Bosnia, Srebrenica, Rwanda. I don't think Cambodia was televised. But that was pretty horrific as well. It wasn't, at least contemporaneously, like live on TV. I always remember like the first Gulf War being the first war that people could watch live on telly.
Yeah.
I don't know why the fuck you'd want to. I guess it's interesting for the first 10 minutes, and then you're just watching people kill each other. It's not really entertainment. I don't think it's even that informative. So yeah, that made me think. So, and then it goes back into the relatively happier chorus again. And it struck me at this point as well. Yeah, so it is sounding REM. But also there was one song that you gave me earlier in the year that sort of pinged out. Is that stupid fucking that Toad and the Wet Sprocket? It kind of sounded a bit of that as well, which now I realise did sound a kind of a bit REM as well. It all joins up eventually if you sit there long enough. So yeah, it goes into this instrumental break with this quite ponderous guitar cameo. It's not really a lead, but then it morphs into this really pleasant melody with this picking guitar that's ringing through. And I think at some points I detect a piano as well, sort of aiding with the root of the chords. And it's really lovely. It's quite short-lived as well, unfortunately. And it sounds, if a piece of music can do, it sounds quite thoughtful and, dare I say, hopeful compared to the sort of melodrama of the other chords all around it. So we go back into the chorus a couple more times. I think we, at this point, for the last repeated choruses, we get some nice picking guitars that sort of add a little sprinkling of upbeat goodness on top of it all. Because it is quite, if you didn't hear the verses, you would say this is quite a nice. It's not shiny happy people, but it's upbeat. Thank God. Before we get a couple more sort of meaningful strums, and then we get a slight bit of bookended, creepy string action, haunted Victorian dolls, and then it ends. I think musically it was quite simple, although the contrast between the two vibes from I'd say the verse and the chorus was interesting and an interesting choice. But I think I didn't get enough of the lyrics to really understand what it's about. I got some mood from it. I think musically it was okay. It was sort of 90s Americana, as I say, with elements of REM, and maybe other bands as well. But I didn't really stand out as like, oh, well, that's this musical thing. But lyrically, there was some really stark imagery that just, for even the short amount I got, made me stop and think. So it definitely needs some sort of explaining to a nut like me. But yeah, I thought it was really thought-provoking from what I got of it as well. And they've got to make me think about stuff which I don't even know is related or not. But yeah, and I do not know how the title fits into any of this at all.
Yeah, well,
the musical Squirrels,
Yeah, well, I'll help you make sense of the title though. And hopefully the song a little bit too, although the words are, when you learn about what the song is about, the words don't explicitly tell the story in any way.
Well, that's
Nonetheless,
helpful.
yeah, exactly. So we'll get into it. Hopefully I can muddy these waters a bit more for you.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah. So, Four Squirrels, they were an American alternative rock band based in Gainesville, Florida, here in the United States, founded in 1992. The band's original lineup consisted of vocalist Jack Vigliatora, bassist Bill White, guitarist Travis Took, and drummer Jay Russell. And drummer Jack Griego eventually replaced Russell. Explaining their name, the band had said that they were so committed to being in a band that they would play music for squirrels. And that's how they got their name. The group played jangly alternative rock akin to REM, one of their prime influences,
Oh,
with heavier moments alluding to the sound of grunge rock and Nirvana. So I thought it was interesting that you didn't really explicitly name Nirvana, but the way you described the song is this darker, a little bit grittier verse hung up against this jangly, brighter sound in the chorus. And I think in that you can see a contrast between the grunge rock versus the jangle pop of like an REM or something like that. So pretty good observation on your end. In early 1994, they self-released their first full album, Bay Path Road, followed by the Plymouth EP, which simply re-released 5 songs directly from Bay Path Road. After touring and establishing a following, the band signed with Sony and 550 Music and recorded the album Example with producer Nick Lanai, at the time known for working with Midnight Oil, Talking Heads, and Kate Bush, which was set to be released on October 3rd, 1995. On September 8th of 1995, while returning from playing the CMJ, pardon me, Music Marathon in New York City, the band was involved in an auto accident that killed Vigliatora, White, and their tour manager Tim Bender. So Griego and Took suffered multiple injuries but survived the crash, and the album was ultimately released as planned, in spite of all of that. And these excerpts came from the Gainesville Sun article dedicated to the band after the accident. A young Gainesville band had the world by a string. Singer Jack Vigliatora IV, guitarist Travis Took, bassist Bill White, and drummer Jack Griego had just inked a 2 record deal with Epic Records and played a triumphant headlining gig at the iconic New York club CBGB for the 1995 CMJ Festival. It was like a Hollywood script. It happened so tragically, recalls Gainesville music veteran Bill Bryson, who then owned the Covered Dish, which was a Four Squirrels' favorite hometown venue. Young guys come to college, form a band, and they start getting serious. Get a manager, go to CMJ, blow people out of the water, get signed to Epic. Their album is named priority #1 right behind Pearl Jam. Everything was lined up for a tremendous success. Then driving home from CMJ Festival, the tour van blew a tire, lost control, and flipped several times, killing the 21-year-old Vigliatora, White at 23, and tour manager Tim Bender, who was also 23. Griego, who was at 28 at the time, suffered a broken neck, and Took, then 23, sustained several injuries himself. A few months after the accident, Took and Griego regrouped with the school friend Andy Lord on bass and covering the vocal, filling in for vocals for Vigliatora. In February 1996, the new lineup began by playing a few low-key shows centered around classic Four Squirrels songs and selection of covers. Eventually, they resurrected the Squirrels moniker and began writing and performing new material favoring a heavier grunge sound. So, tragic story of a band that had everything going for them, and all it took was this tragic accident to kind of blow everything up. I should note that this song was the closest thing to a hit they ever got, and after they released their album, this was the single that was released that did get traction on the airwaves. But alas, as you can imagine, kind of everything fell apart after the accident. These
I mean, I
lyrics.
guess.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
Andy. I guess you're a young band. You're at college. You're in that area. I mean, you get to play at CBGB's. You signed with Epic. You got an album in the can. There's not much else that could be going right for you. It's
Yeah,
just you're right in the the lane of goodness, as it were,
yeah,
traveling, and then you get smacked like that. Yeah, that's really
yeah.
tough.
Half the band gets wiped out.
Yeah.
It's pretty tragic stuff. So, yeah, these lyrics. She lies in a bedpan with her name scrawled on her back. It sure sounds funny when you say his name like that. He lies in an empty room with his hair burnt to the back. It sure sounds funny when you say his name like that. Ship me off to the morgue. I'm ready to be buried. Alone way down in my head bed. Wait, pardon me. Alone way down in my bed, and I'm alone without the sun. Ship me off to the morgue. I'm ready to be buried. All away down in my bed, and I'm alone without the sun. Please just take one. And by the grace of God go I into the grave unknown. Things are going to change in our favor. And if we gather, if we fall over the grave unknown, things are going to change in our favor. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. Oh, they are found dead. I am numb from watching TV. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. Oh, they're just there. And I am numb from watching TV. Please don't break me. And by the grace of God go I into the grave unknown. Things are going to change in our favor. And if we gather, if we fall over the grave unknown, things are going to change in our favor. Please just take one. And by the grace of God go I into the grave unknown. Things are going to change in our favor. And if we gather, if we fall over the grave unknown, things are going to change in our favor. Ah, ah. And if we gather, if we fall over the grave unknown, things are going to change in our favor. So, the Austin Chronicle called the album a great approximation of early REM that would fit nicely in a set with Jim Blossom's Toad the Wet Sprocket or Sponge. I thought it was funny how you mentioned Toad the Wet Sprocket, and here they are
Mm.
referenced in this article.
Huh.
Trouser Press wrote that example shows that the band was a vibrant musical force with a fully realized sound and a knack for explosive, out of the ordinary dynamics. I found that Jonathan Lewis's write-up in AllMusic to be both very insightful and semi-poignant. He wrote, "Example was Four Squirrels' major label debut, but also due to tragedy, which killed two of the band members in 1996. It was the only album that featured their original lineup. Musically, REM casts a huge shadow over Example, with its jangly guitars and glorious melodies. Indeed, John Vigliatore's singing sits comfortably somewhere between Michael Stipe's drone and Sunny Day Real Estate frontman Jeremy Enig's nasally whine. Several of their songs are gems, with simple verses blossoming into truly memorable choruses. 8:02 p.m., Orange Worker, and Under Smithville are three of the best examples. The outstanding track in this set is without a doubt the superb Mighty KC, while ostensibly a tribute to Kurt Cobain. The track takes on a special significance given the fate of the four squirrels. It's a sad, bitter irony to hear Vigliatore sing the gorgeous chorus, and by the grace of God go I into the grave unknown. Things are going to change in our favor. Yeah, it's kind of like, ooh, hearing that chorus after he had
Mm.
passed away, it probably hits a lot different for their fans and friends and family members. But yes, the Mighty KC is a direct reference to Kurt Cobain, who inspired this song, whose death inspired this song. So lyrically, it's really hard to make that connection. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah,
Well, I
that's
get
the
KC. Yeah, I get that bit.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, if anybody out there listening to this who knows any more behind the connection, please feel free to let us know. But I was, when I heard this probably 10 years ago or something like that for the first time, that was something that I had looked up and found out about it and was stunned because I couldn't correlate anything outside of the title to Kurt Cobain. So,
So sorry, Andy, you did say what year was this? 90?
this song came out in 1995.
Okay, so you would think see it's the 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600 found dead. That if it's 95, that sounds like Rwanda to me.
Yeah, yeah, maybe that was
I
happening
mean,
around the same time, and it was just,
yeah,
you're learning about that, then you're taking in the news of the death
yeah,
of like, someone that you look up to, and all this shit. It's just a bad day.
yeah. I mean, it's a former job. I worked with some contacts in various African countries, one of which was Rwanda, and for some of the government and civil service there. And the genocide is quoted at various figures from 300,000 up to 1 million. They do not know. They do not have a clue. And
Yeah,
every month, a village is discovering a new mass burial pit
grave. Yeah, yeah,
with like hundreds and hundreds. I mean, yeah. So that kind of makes sense.
yeah,
Because I think the atrocities in, like, I'm just thinking of the really bad stuff, like Bosnia's another really great, the ethnic cleansing. But I don't think they found bodies of that, like, of that much of that, continuously on television. Um, that was fucking terrible as well, though. Yeah.
yeah.
It just put me in mind of Rwanda,
No,
straight away.
that makes sense. I mean, it's like the events of the day are just
Yeah.
more and more depressing, but then you also, on top of that, hear something that even hits a little bit more or like more personally with you, I guess, because of the musical
Yeah, yeah,
connection.
because it's his death as opposed
Yeah,
to the deaths of many in a foreign soil that's on
yeah,
TV, and it's filtered away from you that way.
yeah,
Whereas I guess they
yeah.
would feel closer to that particular death.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. So, between the interesting
interesting.
story and connection to Cobain and the clear influence of your boys in REM to this song,
Yeah,
I thought, oh, this has got to get to the channel because I know that I just thought that there was enough connection points there for you to
yeah,
extrapolate
it makes
something
it
from it to
interesting.
listen to this. So,
Yeah, it makes it very interesting.
cool. Cool. Well, glad you liked it. Guys out there in the listening audience, let us know what you think of Four Squirrels and this track, Mighty KC. Tragic story of a band that really had, the world by the tail and everything going for them. Kind of a sad illustration of some of the stuff that can happen to really anybody. So please let us know what you think in the comments field below. Like, share, and subscribe if you be so inclined. Really help grow the channel, and we really do appreciate it. Hopefully, John and I will see all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.